Hello and welcome to Tennessee Court Talk. Today we're tackling a topic that often flies under the radar: judicial security. Judges are the guardians of justice, tasked with making impartial decisions that shape lives, our communities, and the future of our society. But what happens when those tasked with upholding the law become targets themselves? From rising threats against judges to breaches of personal privacy, the need for robust judicial protection has never been more urgent. I'm Samantha Fisher, Communications Director, and your host. In today's episode, we'll explore why safeguarding our judiciary isn't just about protecting individuals, it is also about preserving the integrity of the legal system. Joining me today is Jim Holcomb, Judicial Safety Program Manager for the Administrative Office of the Courts. Welcome to the AOC, Jim, and welcome to Court Talk.
Thanks so much.
So you have an absolutely fascinating and impressive resume, including serving in the U.S. Secret Service as a special agent, and we are going to get to that.
Sure.
I am excited to talk about that. But first, I wanted to ask about your role here. You are going to be building a first-of-its-kind safety program for our judiciary.
Right. And in my short time here at the AOC and interacting with judges and other personnel in the courts, I think it's desperately needed. And I'm so glad that the AOC identified this opportunity, created this job, and really grateful they hired me to do it.
We've seen in recent years more politicization of the judicial system. And so I think also in combination with technology and information that can be found online, this is a real need to have somebody who can oversee it, who can facilitate it, and who has the experience that you do to investigate threats and to know what the right course of action is.
Yeah, thanks. The important note of distinction, it's not a law enforcement officer position. Mine isn't. So there's no, I will not be knocking on anybody's door to investigate anybody. But my hope is educating our law enforcement partners with how to conduct a threat investigation. It's a little atypical from your standard investigation. Say something, somebody assaults somebody else. Well, oftentimes, hey, that's pretty cut and dry. It's the who did it, and arrest them, prosecute them, and they go to jail. Threats, on the other hand, there's a lot of management to that. So it's identification of who makes the threat, the assessment of who makes the threat, and then really the management on the back end of that. Because oftentimes you're dealing with people who are mentally ill who may or may not get prosecuted. But the management end is really where I hope to raise awareness and contribute.
Talk a little bit about the need for this role and what you bring to it.
Sure. If the people appointed or elected to be judges don't feel secure in the execution of their job and the holding of that position, we are going to cease to get qualified people to hold those jobs. There will likely not be people deterred from running for governor or president of the United States, or as these elected officials have around-the-clock security, right? But the judges really who are put in the position to make judgments on whether or not you see your children anymore, or whether or not you have to forfeit your home because you purchased it with stolen funds, or you're going to prison for any amount of time. They are not afforded those same protections, and yet we ask them to do a very difficult and necessary job.
Absolutely. Jim, you touched on the protection for other elected officials, perhaps more higher profile, you might say, governors, presidents. You bring more than 2 decades of service with the United States Secret Service, where you served as a senior special agent in protective operations, investigations, training. Your career has included roles in the Presidential Protective Division. Tell us a little bit about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, thanks. My wife calls me extra special agent, so which is fun. The Secret Service is known for protecting the president. Everybody just assume that that's all we do all day, every day. And while there is certainly a lot of that, and some of it is the really fun parts people imagine of flying on Air Force One or working at the White House, I have stood in more stairwells at hotels than I ever took flights on Air Force One. The other part of protecting the people who are elected or appointed that we provide protection for is the running out of threats. And every single threat made against people we protect is investigated. and that is labor intensive. There are only 3,000 agents in the U.S. Secret Service. It might be a little low or it might be a little high depending on the era, but that's a lot of people. And then the other really fun part that the Secret Service does, and it's their original mission dating back to 1865, is the suppression of counterfeit money. And toward the end of the Civil War, you have about a third of all money in circulation is counterfeit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, people sort of gloss over that. And it's still tens of millions of dollars a year in counterfeit that's circulated worldwide. But the real fraud now takes place in electronic crimes and hacked accounts, stolen credit cards, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were also a U.S. Army combat veteran.
Yeah. How about them apples? Right.
And a graduate of the U.S. Naval War College.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very good.
Really uncomfortable talking about myself, not my favorite topic. I joined the Army while I was still in high school and was in a reserve unit. And my second year of college, our unit got mobilized and went to Operation Desert Storm, which is quite the experience when you're landing on your 20th birthday into a combat zone and you spend the next 7 months of your life there. And it was intense is a good way, I think, to describe any war. Not that they need to be compared to be appreciated, but you look at the 20 years of the global war on terror, and I can say with great confidence, hey, we got off easy, in what we had to do. In the Secret Service, it's a federal government agency. The various war colleges offer seats for civilians, which is really neat to build partnerships and to foster understanding across government agencies. And so the Secret Service would send people to various war colleges. And then there were some that were open enrollment, and I took one of those. And it was at a military installation just up the road from our training academy. And so, went there with a handful of other folks and was able to somehow finagle a master's degree from the U.S. Naval War College, which has proven insanely helpful in everything I've done, both in and out of the Secret Service.
Interesting. So from the Secret Service and then, also your military career, what has drawn you to the judiciary in Tennessee?
Yeah, the mission. When I retired from the Secret Service, I thought, hey, I'm going to try something else. Like, we'll try our hand at business operations and leadership education, all of which was fine and fun, and I was really happy there. But about 18 months to 2 years in, I had the revelation that, I really kind of miss working with law enforcement. I miss the protection element. Miss being around people who are sort of default aggressive and on mission. My experience is when people are serving a cause greater than themselves, there is no end to the energy they bring to the task. Absolutely. And I miss that. Not to say that the people I worked with weren't hardworking, though some of them certainly weren't. I absolutely missed being part of a collective effort to do some good, I could run from it, but at the end of the day, I'm a bit of a shepherd and I'm a protector of people. Through a friend, I learned about this position being created at the AOC, and I had no idea what the AOC was, but I've certainly come to appreciate all the services it provides for the judiciary in Tennessee.
For security, sometimes that's good when people don't know who you are.
Totally agree.
So, Jim, you've lived all over the world, but you have deep roots in Tennessee. Talk about your connection to this state.
Yeah. I'd like to say, I knew, and that's why I moved here, but only after moving here did I come to learn that my maternal grandmother's family is from White County, Sparta in particular. So yes, I am a Spartan. And going back to the settling of Tennessee, and its annexation from North Carolina, and the first member of the Cope family who came here, although they weren't Cope at that point, I forget who it was, but it was an itinerant Baptist minister. And really what that means is you're traveling and unpaid. So either he really loved the Lord or he wasn't very good or not good enough to get paid. And so settled in White County and they were here through the early 1900s. And then there was, then some of them went up to Iowa and then west out to California, apparently all the cool kids were moving at that time.
Welcome South, brother.
Right. Yes. Welcome home.
That's right. Welcome
Yeah.
home. Is there anything you'd like folks to know about this position, what you have in mind, what you see ahead?
Yeah, we have really 4 areas of responsibility as I'm figuring it out. This is the start of week 5 for me here in this position. And shout out to our deputy director who's been managing this for the last couple of years. And I don't want to put her on blast on a podcast. I don't know if that's sensitive info. But the more I learned about this post, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy to handle this, as my sole responsibility. She had been not only managing her job and tasks, but this one as well. And and I'm just continually impressed. So there's a handful of things that this job is tasked with, and that's collaborating with local law enforcement, clarifying roles in court security and protection, exploring the investigative process and the follow-up, and assessing the adequacy of that. And one thing we know is when people have reported concerns or threats made against members of the judiciary, it's tough to get that follow-up. And so we're working to build that sidewalk that goes back to the reporter and do some follow-up, and that's really important. There's a tech component. I'm not a tech guy, but my understanding is we have people for that. But there are some tech platforms that we can leverage to keep our members safer. And also, I think there's a great opportunity for some asynchronous, some online learning that can take place. I know we have a handful of conferences a year, and those are wonderful opportunities. But I'd like to see us leverage the technology side to push out some safety education and information. There are some deliverables. There's an annual report that's due to our state legislature every year. That will be my responsibility. And there's, tracking and reporting of courthouse security incidents across the state, as this role services all 95 counties in Tennessee. And then, finally, relationships and representation of the AOC in those spaces where presiding judges and security committees meet at their courthouses, conferences, things of that nature.
Well, Jim Holcomb, thank you for coming to Tennessee, for coming back to Tennessee and serving in this role. I know you've already been well received, and we appreciate the experience that you're bringing to this and your heart for the role as well.
Yeah, thanks.